Hello, welcome to my channel. Always a pleasure. So I hope you like my filming set today. I just thought it would be fun and appropriate for the subject I want to talk about. Okay, so let me present to you my compost bin, my recycling bin, and a little bit further to my right is my garbage bin. And this is the side of my house. Okay. So waste, I want to talk about waste today. And why is that? Because for two main reasons. The very first one is that I think it's time that we feel accountable, that we feel responsible for what is going on in our planet, that we realize that we are part of the problem, that we create a lot of waste, and that is having many consequences, many bad consequences to us, to our health, to the environment, to the ecosystems, like in all kind of levels. We're just creating a big problem. And it's up to us to put a stop to it, to remedy it, to change how we're doing things. So that is the first reason. The second reason is that waste is a gold mine. And even more now under COVID, that so many people have lost their jobs, that many businesses have closed and very possibly would not reopen, that many industries are going to be affected maybe forever. Well, waste. We have overlooked waste as a possible and very sustainable source of wealth if we do manage it correctly. So that is the second reason. So waste, my God, it's such an incredible amount that we create. It's amazing, and honestly, I thought I was kind of responsible towards it. That I was one of the ones that was mindful about waste, and yes, I do follow what they tell me to do, which is to divide my waste in these bins. But I decided that it's time that I do a little bit more, and that's why I'm doing this video. And that's why I want to be involved with the community, and that's why I'm going to try to look for ways to have more impact, like to do tangibly more than what they're asking me to do. So I did look for information. There's tons of information, as there's tons of information in any subject. We just have to be interested in that subject. And so there's documentaries, and there's magazines and articles, and they tell us on the news, and we can find statistics. I mean, it never ends. Really, the amount of information, and a lot of that information is issued by worldwide organizations and government and policies, and so it's reliable information. So it's just up to us to have the interest, to feel accountable, because there is a lot that each of us can do. So if this is the first time that you're watching one of my videos, I'm in Canada. So I looked for reliable information in Canada. So I found this graph. This was issued by Statistics Canada. So let me explain to you the graph. So it summarizes data from 2002 to 2016. And it is the average amount of waste each citizen in Canada produces per year. So the taller bars are what we do produce. The shorter bars are what we divert. And divert, yeah, that's a concept that I recently learned as well. So diversion means that either we reuse, we recycle, or we compost. And I did the math for you here. So it's about 35% what we do divert, and the remainder, so the remainder 65%, we don't. So the question is, where does it go? Well, I'm sure you all have the answer. It's going to landfills, it's going to the ocean, it's going to dumps, and we also export garbage. Yeah, that surprised me too. We do export waste to the United States and also to developing countries. And I honestly find that shameful, because it's as if at home we will be hiding our waste under the carpet or under the couch, and they're just like, oh, well, I don't see it, then it doesn't exist. So that's what we're doing. We're just moving it around in our planet, right? So that is not really solving the problem. So what does this mean at the end of the day, all these numbers? Well, it really means that we don't care. Honestly, we don't care. If we would care, then we would not have this such big of a problem. Because as individuals, we think that by doing what we're told and that the waste is not in our backyard or in our home at our door, then it doesn't exist. The problem is not there, and I'm going to keep going on with my life. But it's not true, right? And so, and if we would have a little bit more interest, we would each do a little bit more effort, we would see the change. We would see the improvement. So let's recognize that we don't care. Then the second one is that we overconsume. We have so much stuff. And that is, a lot of people have been talking about this, and many people are going minimalist and living in tiny houses, and that is precisely in response of us consuming that much. I mean, just an interesting fact for you, and I'm sure that you can think of many. This is my house, and this entire neighborhood was built about 40 years ago. And so these houses, they were built for families, for like a middle-class family. And I mean, the kitchens, the closets, all the storage spaces are very small compared to what are our today's standards for what is considered appropriate. And why is that? Well, because back in the day, people did not have that much stuff. And even more, even they had even less stuff, because back in the day, people had an average more children. So that means that there was more people per household and with little storage space. So, and there's many examples like that, right? That we do consume so much. So if we consume so much, obviously we're going to produce a lot of waste. Then businesses is the same thing. Businesses, I think that they're even worse than individuals. Why? Because, I mean, their main goal is profit, and they're going to find any way possible to profit. I'm not saying that every business, but I would say most of them. And so it also happens with businesses, right? And the production process creates a lot of waste. From using the raw materials, from like all the machinery they need and all the water they need and all the chemicals they need, well, that pollutes a lot too, right? And something to this matter, I work in the office environment, so I have worked at a couple of companies, and all the companies I have worked for is the same thing. You would be surprised, for those that are interested in knowing, that the waste is not separated. And they might even give you these little blue bins to put by your desk so that you put there the paper. But then when you do ask, like at the back of the building, where does it go? It's all picked up in the same truck and all gets dumped in the same bin. So there is no benefit for separating anything. And it's just like a big joke, right? A bad joke. Okay, so there is that. So here comes then what I do suggest. I think it has come the time that this has to change. I don't think that there is any excuse or justification to keep procrastinating on solving it. So, and we need to do it fast. And obviously we show that we don't know how to do it, or we don't want to do it, or simply we're not interested in doing it. So I think this has to be a measure coming from the government. So the government has to come up with very clear information, very clear rules, strict, with very clear penalties, very clear fines, just as they do to take care of our driving behavior, right? That's why in Canada, driving is such it's such an easy thing to do. Everybody is polite and respects the traffic signs, and like we're all so disciplined. And why is that? Well, because the rules are very strict and the fines are very hefty too. So if the same attitude would be towards waste, then we would be experiencing a completely different scenario here. So that is what I do propose. Now, what is the benefit of that? So I'm gonna go like the thought process all the benefits that we can cause. So number one, now with COVID, we're needing jobs, right? Many jobs were lost. So, well, the government can create a lot of jobs so that we get supervised, because, I mean, we don't know how to comply. It's going to take some time to get us educated. So there, we need jobs there to supervise us. We need people to supervise us. And you would ask, where would the money come from? Well, the money is going to come from our fines, the fines we have to pay until we learn how to comply. And that comes to individuals and to businesses. And that's going to have a direct relationship, right? So if we learn to behave, if we do things right, then there's going to be less fines. Therefore, there's going to be less need to have people supervising us. So that's a direct relationship. That is how that is going to be changed with time. Then the second effect of that is that we're all going to be educated because we have to, because otherwise we're all going to be fined. And so we're going to understand better of how to separate our waste. And not only separating our waste, we might have quotas. We might have a limit of the amount of waste we can create, or how do we have to separate our waste? Or maybe there is waste that at a household level cannot be picked up. I mean, there can be many factors to those rules, right? But because we're going to be better educated, then we're also going to give some thought from the get-go of what kind of things we're going to buy. And not only the kind of things, but the amount of things we're going to buy. Because we're going to be thinking of how are we going to deal with the waste. So that is another benefit. And then the impact of that is that we're going to overall then produce less waste. So that is obviously going to benefit the environment, but also it's going to benefit our pocket, because if we're doing a diligent work from the beginning, then our government is going to have to use less financial resources that finally are our taxes, to manage that waste. So that is going to be a financial benefit from us besides the environment. Then obviously the environment. And so we're damaging our soil, our water, our air, the ecosystems, and might be damaged that it's a lot more expensive to repair than to not cause at all. And another thing, now that also affects us as individuals, as a society, as a country, as a world. So the quality of our environment affects our health and also affects our pocket, because I mean, somebody has to pay for dealing with that problem, right? So to clean the air, to clean the water, to restore the ecosystems, I mean, everything has finally a cost translated in money. So financially, it's also going to be a benefit. Now, because we're going to separate the waste in a better way, it's going to be cleaner. So it's going to be a lot more efficient. Now, here comes another business opportunity, another source of wealth. Businesses can be created to make use of that recycled waste, the recycled materials. And there's many already, right? I mean, I can just think now about, there's shoes, there is clothing, there is construction materials, there is parts for cars, there is luggage even. There's tons of things already done. But if we were to separate our waste, then that would be the materials used by many business ideas, right? And not only that, it's going to be easily available. There is going to be a lot. And clean also. It's going to be very easy, because we're going to separate plastic and paper and fabric and glass and wood and the compostable like food and everything, right? So everything is going to be separate appropriately. So it's going to be very easy to retrieve and to use again. So, and then our health is also going to benefit. And that has obviously a direct impact, I mean, because we want to be healthy, but again, it's going to favorably impact our pockets, because the health system is not going to be, it's not going to have that much of a burden, because we're going to be healthier. And finally, it's us paying for that health system, right? Because it's coming from our pockets, it's coming from our taxes. So it's just benefiting everybody. Another thing too, if we get educated as to what we're going to buy, because we're concerned about how we're going to deal with our waste as individuals, we're sending this indirect message by not buying the products that are not convenient for this waste management program. We're not buying them. Therefore, I mean, businesses and factories and all this, we're not going to import either from other countries what we cannot appropriately deal with, right? So, oh my God. This is just it's something that we just have to stop wasting. Let's stop wasting waste. Okay, see you next time.